Yo, monkeys, it's me, DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. And you, monkey, you're listening to the Potsy and Tino show. And that's not a bad thing, monkey. That's a good thing. Bang!
That's like you getting old. I hurt myself.
You hurt your shoulder just doing your little dance?
Yeah, no. I saw you're getting old. You're going back into the gym. So when I did the bang right here in my arm, I was like, ow, that hurt.
That's funny. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pots Pans Network brings to you the tag team champions of the world, the Road Dog Tino Gray, the badass Rob Potsy Potchak, the Potsy and Tino show. Our theme song is always brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents. And Tino, you know that we always like to start with a little segment called What's Up With You?
We had hot wings Friday. So last week I worked. I saw you twice last week, and then Saturday went and did a gig out of town, and I guess just what's up, Michael Turner? Just enjoying life, man. And like I said, I had a good time Friday. I was so damn miserable when I got home, and I think I texted you when I got home. So for those of you who aren't aware, we did the Hot Ones challenge at Rob's sister's house, and that was excellent. You need to go back and check that. It was last Friday. We did it on the Potsy and Tino, our show, and then Rob did it. He filmed it on the TikTok, so you can watch it either way that way. We had a bunch of people with us. We had a blast. I didn't think that I was gonna make it, but I made it to all 10. Now, mind you, I drank a lot of water and a lot of milk and had honey, and I was eating chips. So by the time we got done with this, I was miserable. I was so full. I was miserable. I couldn't burp. It took me Rob, how long was on her couch before I finally got ready to leave, and the burp came out?
I mean, it was probably 30 minutes of sitting on the couch.
Oh, God,
and just sitting there as lounged as possible, so that you could just try to open the diaphragm up.
Try not to move because I was scared I was going to throw up. Because we already had somebody who lost her cookies there. I didn't want to be the next one because Shane was already pissed off, and then when Shane started, I thought I was gonna lose it too. When he went there, he's like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna go.
So the youngest one there, Jason, our friend John, John's stepson and Krista's son. He couldn't hold his mud.
Well, I think it's because at first he would like take a bite, and like we were eating the wings and he would take a bite. So I started razzing him like, dude, you gonna eat that wing? So finally he started eating them. But
he's sitting there going, who are you? But you know, the way that we did it, folks, it was pretty cool. And Tino's right, you should definitely go check the video out. It's about an hour and a half. Every wing progressively hotter than the previous one. We used season 17 from Hot Ones wing sauces. Michael Turner actually came to see me on Saturday at my comic book signing I was doing, and he was telling me how shocked he was that I made it past number 4 because you know like I don't like hot stuff. And but Tino, let me talk about the next day.
Okay,
because like that night I was like, I had the bubble guts like everybody else. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to go blow up a bathroom, you know. And
I did when I got home, and I think I texted you that too. I was like, oh, I feel so much better. But then I burped, like, it's nasty.
And so we had that first moment of you know, like, okay, I got home, went to the bathroom, and everything was fine. It didn't burn, didn't hurt, nothing.
It didn't burn. Yeah, you're right.
The next morning, I get up and I have to go to the bathroom again. So I go to the bathroom. Everything's fine. And I'm like, man, maybe they're lying about how these things just really seem to, you know, hit you on the way out like they hit you on the way in, right? And
It's like dunna, like Jaws, dunna, dunna.
Well, it's like famous last words more than anything else. You know, like so I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, I'm at the comic book signing. I haven't been drinking anything, eating anything, or whatever. Like I ate before I got there, but like at this point it's like 3:00 in the afternoon. I hadn't had it like bottled water or anything. So I'm like, hey, can I get a bottle of water? And they're like, sure. So they give me a bottle of water. I drink half of it like real quick.
Got hydrated.
All of a sudden, my stomach just goes blah, 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 like you better run to a bathroom, right? So I run to the bathroom, and this time,
it burned,
and it burned bad. Like I started sweating from it. Luckily, the place's bathroom wasn't a stall; it was an actual bathroom. So I'm sitting right next to the sink. So I'm like taking the toilet paper and dabbing it with water. So I can try to cool my butt off, because we were talking on the show, everybody that was at Shane and Michelle's place saw that we had dude wipes there, and they had the mint cooling version of dude wipes. Well, apparently they worked really well. Shane was talking about how well they worked, but what I thought was hilarious, Tino, was that when I walked back out to go back and start drawing and signing again, I couldn't sit down. It hurt so bad I couldn't sit down. So then I finally did sit down, like 10 minutes later, and I was like, okay, that still stings, but okay, whatever. Or my stomach decides, you're not done yet.
Round
so I had to
2.
Go run. So I had to go run in. Well, actually, technically round 3 for the day, but round 2 at the comic shop. So I'm sitting there and I go again, and I'm like, what in the world? Like, because it burned just as bad. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? This is terrible. Go back to sit down again. Can't sit. Like, it was horrible. Absolutely horrible. I do want to thank everybody that did come out, like Michael to the comic book signing. That had a really great time. Got my mind off of a lot of stuff. Made me quite happy with the turnout of people and everything else. It's always cool when you find out that like your local shop sits there and buys like 50 copies of your book, and by the time you're done signing, there's only like 4 copies left. It's pretty cool. So that was pretty awesome. Got to watch the Elimination Chamber while I was at the signing, because I brought my iPad with me. So I set up my hotspot on my phone, and I just watched the Elimination Chamber. So we'll obviously get into that. And I've been struggling with some things in life, and I'm struggling with something else now. Not going to go into it. There's no reason to really sit there and go into it, but it's going to be a lingering issue for a while. But I do have some stuff that I'm pretty excited about. I getting ready to write what will probably be the last junior high horrors book for the foreseeable future, at least.
What? What?
Yeah. It's time to.
Horror?
What's that?
No more junior high horror?
I have a feeling that, like, when an idea for one just happens to come up, that I'll be like, all right, I'm going to do a new one. But yeah, it's been almost 5 years that we've been working on that title. So I kind of feel like it's
5 years.
It's been almost 5. Like, I think I created it in, I want to say, October of 2017. So 5 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Now, I don't think it came out until 2018. I think it came out September 2018. But the idea and everything started.
No, that's like it's been that long since it came out.
Yeah. So Eric, the artist of Junior High Horrors, and myself, we've decided, I think we've got the project that we're gonna do knocked out, and it's kind of a sci-fi wrestling project. So it's gonna make both
Junior
of us.
High or the new project?
The new project.
Okay.
I'm not gonna announce the name of it or anything yet until we actually get into production of it, but we're starting to move that direction. So and then who knows, man? I got to make some decisions about funding and whether or not I'm going to try to crowdfund the new projects or what. But I've I've got 2 or 3 other ones that like I think it's time to sit there and start getting artwork produced for. So we're there.
What are you watching?
Sorry, NXT.
Really?
They started with a Grayson Waller versus LA Knight. So that match just finished. I'll turn it off because I think they just had Mandy Rose getting ready to walk down to the ring. So yeah, exactly. So that's really what's going on with me. And you already told me that Rampage didn't record for you because they put it on before the NBA All-Star game.
I was women dusty. Well, hey, Justin. Yeah, it didn't. I was so mad. I got ready because I came home Friday from hanging out with you, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch before because I knew I had to get up Saturday because I had to teach my 2 classes. So I was like, I'm just gonna lay in the bed, kind of wind down, watch SmackDown, and watch, Rampage, or either get up earlier and watch Rampage. I was gonna watch no Rampage. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm just watching SmackDown then. I did have a thought though, and I know you don't watch Impact.
Okay.
But so the Impact champion right now is Mickie James.
Right.
And she just beat Tasha Steelz, which I think she's getting ready to go into a program with Chelsea Green.
Okay.
Who is Chelsea Green married to?
Matt Cardona.
Who is Mickie James married to?
Nick Aldis.
Go to NWA. Who is the NWA champion right now, and who just challenged him?
Matt Cardona is champion. Nick Aldis is challenger.
I'm wondering if they're going to work again with NWA. If that's going to bleed, I mean, it might not. It might be. I'm like, that could be a storyline it can bleed into.
Well, I mean, Mickey's actually worked with the NWA. She put on the entire women's pay-per-view as an executive producer of that show.
I just found it interesting. I found it interesting that, Cardona is the NWA champ. Aldis is fighting for is his challenger. Mickie James is the champ, and Chelsea is the challenger. I just found it interesting.
I mean, it works out well because if they want to expand that program longer, we're seeing a lot of mixed tag matches in the different fields right now. So we're seeing Edge and Maurice, or Edge and Beth versus Maurice and The Miz. We're seeing, I mean, I think we've already seen some stuff with Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green in the same ring at the same time.
Yeah. On Impact, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that what you do there is you headline one pay-per-view with them as a tag team match.
Mm-hmm.
And then you headline the NWA pay-per-view with obviously the men's match, and you headline the next TNA match, or you do the TNA one before the end. I don't care, but like I think that you easily can get 3 matches out of that.
And that's what I was wondering. It's just too perfect not to open the forbidden door again, and somehow meld those together.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a good thought, and it's something that I think can I think it's something that can work a really good timed program rather than because the NWA seems to move a little bit slower than the rest of them.
Yeah.
And like obviously like Impact films like an entire month's worth of tapings, and then they show them every week or whatever. So Justin's asking questions about the Bullet Club.
Yeah, I know you don't watch Impact, so I don't know if you know anything about what's going on over there.
How Jay White turned on them.
Yeah, that, and well, that the Good Brothers, who are the Machine Gun and
Doc
the big
Gallows.
Yeah, so they're there, and so they had the Bullet Club rendition of Jay White came over, Chris Bays joined them, and they brought over the Guerrillas of Destiny, and the Guerrillas of Destiny was going to fight the Good Brothers for the Impact Tag title. Jay White turned on JLD and formed the I guess the Bullet Club, I guess is original with the two original guys from TNA, Jay White and not Jay White. I'm sorry. Yeah, Jay White and Chris Bay now. So it was a good pay-per-view. It really. I watched that one. I didn't watch that one yesterday while I was working. I had it going on in the background. Check it out.
Well, and they also had another thing happen.
Yes, sir. And Honor No More, I guess, because Ring of Honor's down. So that consists of PCO, Matt Taven, what's her name, and her husband, the redhead, and her husband, Maria,
and
yeah, and Kenny King. And so they were fighting. They're calling themselves Honor No More, and they were fighting the Impact versus Honor No More, which was Swan, Mac, Eddie, Macklin, and I think I'm missing. Oh, and Rhino. And so Eddie was supposedly jumped before the match and then was taken out. And so, Impact's in trouble. Eddie comes down with the kendo stick and whacks Rhino and causes him to lose. And that's how Faith No More. So he joins Honor No More. I said Faith No More. He joins Honor No More.
You want it all, but you can't have it. AEW Dynamite, Tino, what happened?
You didn't watch that either?
No, I'm asking you.
Oh, God. What did happen? Like I said, I watched, and you're right. It's finally catching up with me. I watched too much wrestling. It's finally catching up.
Well, this was the first show without Cody.
I think this is the one they had the match with Hager and Jericho against Pride and Powerful. That's what they call themselves, which was a good match.
Oh yeah, of course it was a good match. Really, and of course Eddie Kingston's been cleared to come back. So
and he came down, which distracted Jericho, which caused them to lose. And then is Jericho turning heel? Because what was that about?
Which part?
At the end, where he just lost his shit and just jumped Eddie for no fucking reason, and he went crazy.
Well, I think it's because Eddie's the reason why the inner circle has fallen apart. Because initially, I mean, like the inner circle is the biggest faction that they've got in AEW, right?
Yes.
Except for maybe like the Nightmare Family, but nobody cares about that.
Is the Pinnacle still together?
Yeah, because they were all in the ring together. When CM Punk said that he wanted the dog collar match.
All right, so they're just Pinnacle still going to be a thing, and
I think it's very similar to the way that they were doing the Inner Circle for like the last year, where when you want to put a 5-way dance match on, or a 10-man tag match or whatever, sure, you can have all 5 of them in the ring together because they're the Inner Circle. But otherwise, they kind of all just went their separate ways without any issues. And then all of a sudden they got back together and they immediately just have, oh my God, what's happening? Whereas the Pinnacle right now seems to be the exact opposite, except for Wardlow, where, everybody's expecting the Wardlow turn. And I would say that I expect the Wardlow turn to probably happen at Revolution. I see him turning on MJF and getting CM Punk his win back. And if it doesn't happen, then when are they gonna do it? Because we know it's coming. So when is it coming? You know what I mean?
Didn't Keith Lee, was that this week or the week before?
The week before he went up against the kid from the Hardy compound.
Okay, so yeah, that wasn't his debut last week. Then like I said, it's starting to run together.
No, so what happened this week? We got Bryan Danielson versus God, who was it that he faced?
What's
that?
Wasn't it Moxley?
No. Moxley came down to the ring afterwards.
Okay.
And said, I don't stand with anybody until I bleed with them first.
Which sets up a match.
Sets up a match at Revolution between the two of them, which is great. But no, Danielson went up against one of the young guys, and it was a good match. I mean, it was, Danielson makes everybody look like they're like $1 billion. when he got the tap out win and everything. But then they had the Moxley moment after that. Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, is that what happened this week as well?
Yeah.
And in that, unfortunately, it sounds like Sammy Guevara is now injured.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what that means. Are we going to have another interim champion?
I mean, it remains to be seen, because obviously, like sometimes injuries aren't anything that you have to lose a lot of time for. So I mean, I'm sure he's getting MRIs done and everything else.
Well, rolling into and we'll talk about it, that Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that, because
I was like, so if he was hurt, what the fuck? If you knew going in he was hurt, why fly his ass over there? The fuck?
Well, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But yeah, so obviously we had that NXT 2.0. We got to see the Creed brothers win the Dusty Cup.
Yes.
So that was kind of cool, because aren't they part of Diamond Mine?
Yes.
And then the only other thing I really remember from NXT last week, which leads to this week, is why Tommaso Ciampa was on Monday Night Raw last night, feuding with Dolph Ziggler. And let me just say, Tino, there aren't many dream matches in the WWE anymore. But Tommaso Ciampa versus Dolph Ziggler is I mean, like, I want to see them Hell in a Cell, okay? Because Dolph will bump like nobody's business.
Bump machine.
He's a bump machine. He will bump like nobody's business for Tommaso Ciampa. Like if it was just a straight up steel cage match between the two of them, Ciampa would probably throw him off the top of the cage,
Undertaker style. Well,
and Dolph would end up winning the match, and Ciampa would be like, like how did I lose? Well, because you just threw a guy to his death,
the crazy chick and Io Shirai are now a tag team. Kylie Ray is it Kylie Ray? No.
Is it Dakota Kai?
No. It's the one that was with the long hair with the bat. I think it might be that was going against that wanted the women's championship. Is that Kylie Ray?
Yeah, probably.
And her and Io Shirai are gonna go for the women's tag team for the women's Dusty Cup. But it was funny because Kylie was back there breaking shit, right? And she's like, Io comes back there. She goes, "You should try it." Io's like, "No, that's not my thing. So just try it. You'll feel better." So Io like they're back there breaking dishes and glass. She goes, "I like this," and she started throwing shit. And then her old partner came like, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "This is fun," and she's throwing shit. And Kylie's like, "Yeah, this is," and she takes a bat and just knocks everything. And he goes, "I like her," and walks away with her. And like, her you like.
Yeah, because the other one has been like,
yeah.
Come on, you like this, and she's like, no.
She goes, "I like her." She's like,
That's
"Okay,
funny.
her you like." So that's going to be an interesting tag team. Dakota Kai, the girl, the Wendy Chu was trying to get Dakota Kai to be her tag team partner. I'm trying to think of everything that happened.
And Wendy Chu is the one that's always in the onesie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
She entertains me.
It's frustrating with NXT 2.0 right now because I don't think they're giving us enough vignettes to let us know who these new people are.
Except for that one chick that's coming in, the Lioness, whatever her name is.
Yeah, I don't know, but like we see a Veer Mahan promo every week on Monday Night Raw. Veer is coming to Raw, and yet he still hasn't come to Raw. And by the time he finally does, he'll probably be on SmackDown.
Yeah.
But we keep getting the Veer ones, but not the other. Braun Breaker had a match against Escobar last week.
Yes.
And excellent match. Dolph actually tried to get involved. This is what brought Tommaso Ciampa out. Ciampa grabs Dolph by the leg because he's trying to get into the ring.
What was that move that you and I were like, holy shit? You remember? There was something that caught our eye and we were both like, Holy shit. Braun Breaker did something.
Yeah. But, Braun Breaker seems to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
It's funny because I still don't think he's ready to be a champion. I mean, would he have 5 matches and he's champ?
Yeah.
Ideally, I think NXT, yes, having a Tommaso Ciampa as the champion makes sense to me, and I think that's why with 2.0, Vince wanted them to slowly integrate these new characters in and win the championships. And as you saw, Carmelo Hayes ends up winning the North American Championship, but he won it immediately after the previous champion had actually retained the championship, to kind of give you that little swerve moment, and not using that as a Swerve Scott statement or anything.
Oh, I think I'm gonna like the because I guess next in line he's got the bruiserweight coming for him.
Who, Braun Breaker?
No, Carmelo. Pete Dunne, I think, is going for him.
That's good news, if you ask me, because Pete Dunne was being used for house shows for SmackDown recently. Mm-hmm. So hearing that him and Ciampa sound like they're going to continue to be in NXT for a little while longer, I think is good. I actually kind of like the slow integration onto like Raw or SmackDown as well, like this slow burn with Ciampa and Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah,
I really, now granted, it culminates tonight with a singles match between them, or at least it's going to be the first singles match between the two of them. But like the implications here are whoever wins this match is going to be the next in line for the world, the NXT world title. And it's funny because it sounds like a demotion for Dolph Ziggler.
No, not if they do it right. Because Dolph, I think, is in the stage of his career where he wants to give back and he wants to go help push those kids in NXT. And it might be an emotion, but you get somebody you if they give Dolph the belt, you got these kids going against Dolph Ziggler. That's like going to damn Harvard University. You know what I mean? I mean, he's gonna make these kids look good, and then he's also going to teach them how to go in the ring.
Yeah, and it really does go back to what NXT originally was, because I mean I remember when Cesaro would go down to NXT and he'd go against Neville or whatever, and like they just have bangers of matches. So I mean I like that, but sorry folks, for whatever reason my iPad seems to keep going off with TikTok messages, and I'm not doing the live on TikTok tonight, but probably get back to that when you and I are in the same room together doing the show. I agree with you that it really does mean that they're getting kind of like with AJ Styles coming in a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
And I don't know if you heard, but AJ Styles apparently just signed a new deal
with for I guess big bucks apparently.
Yeah, like big bucks. And good for him. He recently said that WWE is his home. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. So that's good to hear. But it's also good to hear that they're actually paying the talent that they're keeping the right amount of money.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the rumored number is that he got $3 million a year for this deal. And I have to think that $3 million a year, he's had a lighter schedule for like the last 8 months. Like he's been tag teaming. He's been kind of like Randy Orton, where Randy Orton, has that kind of money on his deal. Yeah. But they've been protecting them by knowing that these guys are a little bit older than everybody else. They can still teach so much to these young guys.
I mean, look what Orton's doing for Riddle.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, and like we got a little bit of Riddle versus Brock in the Elimination Chamber. I say a little because Brock made everybody his bitch during the Elimination Chamber, which we'll talk about. Yes. But like this AJ deal, the rumored match, and I even put a little banner on here for rumors and subjective WrestleMania card that I think we'll probably update every week as we go. But like rumor is that it's going to be AJ Styles versus Edge at WrestleMania.
Yeah, because Edge did put out the challenge last night.
So let's think about that. Here we are talking about how like AJ Styles is being used to help bring up new talent. He's being used to, like sparingly by getting Omos over and everything else. And then when it comes to WrestleMania season, it's like saying we're going to go ahead and put Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle.
Because Edge can now Edge can go, but AJ will make him look like a star.
Oh, I mean, Edge can go and Edge does go. But Edge's best matches are going to be gimmick matches. Anytime they seem to put him in a ladder match, or they put him in like a steel cage match or a last man standing match. Those are always the matches where Edge really seems to go to that next level. And we all remember the WrestleMania match against Foley, which was ECW rules, which meant there were no rules. So I mean, we all remember those kinds of matches too. But we have to remember the greatest wrestling match ever happened between Edge and Randy Orton. But you're right. I mean, like when you think about it, you've got Edge is 44 or 48 or something.
Yeah, he's about mine.
And AJ's probably 39 to 41 at this point.
Yeah.
So I mean, these guys aren't spring chickens.
AJ's at least 40. Yeah.
They don't have a lot of time left on this. And Michael Turner, I like the idea of Edge versus Cody, but I don't think that's going to be a WrestleMania match. I think you may get, if Cody comes in to WWE, I think he comes in the night after WrestleMania. And if he doesn't, I see him sitting there and showing up at Mania as like the mystery entrant into like Intercontinental ladder match.
Oh man, Styles is 44. And he was born in Jacksonville, North Carolina. That's where I grew up.
Wow.
Yeah, so Styles is 44.
Edge is 48.
You think?
Or at least I think he was 48 when he re-signed with them, so he might be closer to 50 at this point.
No, he's my age. He's born in 73. He's 48.
Okay. So I mean, AJ Styles is my age and Edge is your age. That's pretty funny. Because we're in just as good a shape as them. The Elite just did video and they on the Cody bus. Oh, so I guess being the Elite went onto the Cody bus. I still think that when it comes to Cody Rhodes, I think Cody's going to end up being re-signed with AEW at some point. I don't see him really going WWE. Now, same time, we're just talking about AJ Styles getting a big money deal. I could totally see Cody coming in for big money.
Well, remember we were talking about I don't know if we were talking about it on air or off air, talking about the Cody Rhodes thing with the Rhodes to the Top or whatever his show is.
Sure.
I was reading somewhere that they're not sure about a second season, so it's still in limbo. It's not guaranteed.
So it was picked up for a second season.
Yeah, but I don't think I don't think they're going to go. I think it's still whether or not they're going to show it. I got a feeling if Cody goes to WWE,
it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Or they change it, or they change it into a Dustin show.
Possibly.
Because apparently the star of the show is Teal Rhodes. It's not even any of the wrestlers.
Oh, the baby?
No, his sister.
Oh.
The one that apparently runs all the side businesses.
I've never watched the show. I gotta.
Yeah, me neither. But that's what I've heard anyway. All right. So we talked a little bit about Dynamite. We talked a little bit about NXT. Anything on SmackDown that was really worth? I mean,
the only thing that was worth mentioning on SmackDown, and it set up for the match for the Elimination Chamber, was when they did Charlotte and Sonya did the signing for the match with Naomi and I want to say Shayna Baszler, not her, Ronda Rousey. I guess Rousey has said at some point she could beat her with her hand tied behind her back. So they had that. It was in the contract that at the pay-per-view she'd have to wrestle with one hand tied behind her back.
Ridiculous, by the way. Absolutely ridiculous. But you know, they don't want to give.
Stone Cold did that.
What's that?
Back in the day, Stone Cold did that. Remember that?
Yeah, against Vince McMahon. That one was in Philadelphia. I remember that. Because all night, like, you just kept seeing like Vince McMahon like pumping iron, trying to get ready for the match, and then he's like, "Don't you remember, Austin? You said you could beat me with one hand tied behind your back, so you have to do that now." I was like, and you know, if I remember correctly, didn't McMahon win that match because Stone Cold couldn't defend himself at some point or whatever?
Yeah, a lot of shenanigans happen. You know how that goes.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So I put it up to Monday Night Raw, but I actually want to go ahead and talk about the other thing that happened on SmackDown was Sami Zayn became the Intercontinental Champion. And good for Sami. Obviously, this is a reward for taking all the bumps from Brock, for having to be the lapdog to Johnny Knoxville. But more than anything else, it's because Sami did just re-sign with WWE. So it is definitely a boon to him to once again be Intercontinental Champion and you know that we were just talking about shenanigans. There's going to be shenanigans aplenty when it comes to the Intercontinental Championship going forward, I'm sure. It means that we're going to get more pumped up Freddie Mercury, Rick Boogs. It means we're going to get it means we're going to get some Shinsuke.
I can't take him seriously since he cut the hair. I couldn't take him seriously with the hair, but when he cut it, he does like Freddie Mercury. I cannot.
He looks like a blown up Freddie Mercury. I mean, without a doubt.
And I didn't notice it till McAfee said it that first night. I'm like, and that's all I can see now. I'm like, I'm done.
Yep.
What'd you think of the pay-per-view before we even get started? What would you grade it?
Well, let's start by saying once again, WWE put on a card probably the size of a WrestleMania card for this.
And of course, I mean they paid a lot of money.
Dude, apparently every time they go there, they get paid $50 million. So just think about that. $50 million to go over there twice a year or 3 times a year.
So do they get 50 every time they go, or 50 for the 3 together?
No, 50 every time.
Wow.
So think about that, because 50 million each time means that for 3 nights a year, if they do 3 of them,
50.
They already make more money than the entirety of AEW's television contracts. The entirety.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
So, I mean, just think about that. And on top of that, so the pay-per-view itself, I mean, we got the opener was Roman versus Goldberg, wasn't it?
Well, the first match probably, yeah, not the pregame. You're talking about the first actual match of the pay-per-view.
Yeah. And you gotta love guys like Corey Graves, because when Goldberg speared Roman, he's like, "Oh my god, Roman is hurt, Roman is down. It's good. We're gonna have a new." And it's like, but then I turned away and I looked back and Roman was holding up the championship.
Yeah,
and I'm like, the hell just happened?
Yeah.
But it was nice to see that match finally happened. Out of that $50 million, I'm sure Goldberg got $2 million.
Oh, yeah.
Because they all get big money for the Saudi show. After that, like Michael's already talking about how Lita got a big pop from the crowd. Yes, Lita did get a big pop from the crowd because, I mean, those Saudi fans love the nostalgia piece.
The Attitude Era.
I mean, we all do, but
yeah.
But like
they pay for that.
Now, I'll also say though that, like, you think about it, the very first, it was the second one of those Saudi shows was the first time they had 2 women wrestle, right? And it was like Alexa Bliss versus Sasha Banks, I believe.
Yes, something. Yeah.
this show had 3 women's matches on it, which had 6 competitors in the Elimination Chamber, 4 competitors in the tag team match, and then the championship match for Raw. So, I mean, like, they had 12 women on this card, whereas previously they had 2 or they'd have 4.
Yep. It's getting.
And it's amazing to see how progressive the WWE is in those moments and what they're able to accomplish and do for these women. Because you know, they're hoping that these women become idolistic to the Saudi fans, the female fans, which then allowed them to want to be more progressive in what they actually are willing to and able to accomplish in that country. So you know, we all talk about like the Sheik's money and everything else, but for the most part, it's the WWE is trying to do progressive things by doing it. You know, very similar to when Inoki and Ric Flair wrestled in North Korea.
Yeah.
You know, like that's crazy to even think about, but you know, they were able to do that. And largest pro wrestling crowd ever at that event. You know, like 125,000 people.
Amazing.
All sitting there like this.
Not making a sound. Not clapping.
Not until Inoki came out. When Inoki came out, that's when they were finally cheered because they knew who he was. Other thoughts. Okay. Lita versus Becky. About what I expected from it. I would have.
Lita looked like she had a little ring rust. There were stutter steps in that match that I could pick up on, like when she's getting ready to throw her, you know, into the rope into a turnbuckle. It was kind of like stutter, like
I think there's a couple things there. You know, like they obviously flew over like 2 or 3 days before that because they taped SmackDown. They didn't do a live SmackDown and then try to fly out to Jeddah.
Right.
But you know, like you could assume that there was probably some mild jet lag for some people. Lita's up there compared to these other women. So I mean, like the idea that she would be able to go at the lightning quick speed of most of these women nowadays, not going to happen, right? But you also have to remember that because Lita had neck surgery so long ago, she's probably stuttering because she's worried, you know, and obviously, like
Lita's
the more she'd be in a match and the more she'd actually be wrestling, you'd probably have less of that, just like ring rust itself.
She's 46, Jimmy.
What's that?
She's 46.
Wow.
Yep.
She's age appropriate.
Shut up.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. The Ronda Rousey Naomi match, the hand tie behind the back wasn't really tied behind the back; it was tied down to her side. It was fine. You know, like it served its purpose. It did what it was supposed to, and it got people cheering for the right people, right? Because they're doing everything they can to make Ronda Rousey a babyface, even though the American crowd wants to boo her.
She came out when she first came out. What was it at the Rumble? She was heel, and then all of a sudden she goes to SmackDown and she's fake. She wins the WrestleMania. She's going against Charlotte now. Now she's face. I'm like, what the hell just happened? Because she did the heel promo, and now all of a sudden
but you know how
again.
You know how the promos backstage or on WWE.com are. Like some of them are not canon, right? So they're not part of the character base. But you know, there was rumor that those backstage actually told her to be nicer to the fans because they wanted to sell her as a babyface this time. So I mean, they did what they could there.
And you know, you saw Sonya when she was stopping the. I'm like, she's going to take that fucking sling off. And what did she do? She took that sling off. You knew it was coming.
Oh yeah, Yeah. Oh, I'm not really hurt. I mean, it's pro wrestling, like it's just what they do.
Why she? I don't understand this. She took her arm out of the sling and did jumping jacks. Bitch, wasn't nothing wrong with your legs. It was your arm. What's the purpose of doing jumping jacks?
Well, I mean, if you had a dislocated shoulder or anything else, you're not going to be able to go like this.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense now. Okay, I didn't think about it like
that. Okay. Most people didn't like the men's elimination chamber match, based on what I read on the internet.
Because you knew what was going to happen.
Well,
and I told you, and you told me no.
Well, I didn't know Bobby Lashley was hurt.
No, and I said they were saying that Brock was going to win that belt and go against Roman at WrestleMania and be title for title. And you're like, no, they don't want to do that.
Well, they have to have a bigger end game in sight if that's going to be the case. I mean, if you're only going to have one champion over two brands, they either have to pull double time or you have to really pump up your other titles.
Now, we go back to what we were saying earlier. If you know your champion's hurt, why fly him over there and put him in the chamber?
All right, the flying him over and having him be part of everything is simple. You got paid $50 million to have your biggest names there. That's why McIntyre had a match on the thing, and he's got a neck injury.
Yeah.
Like you literally are trying to build these guys into being stars, and the easiest way to do it is where all the money is. That's where you have these guys show up.
Yeah, but Lashley didn't even leave his pod. He didn't wrestle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's because he has a shoulder injury.
Yeah, I get that.
So you got to protect him. You got to lead to the future storyline.
I have another question. If he's got a shoulder injury, why would you throw somebody into a pot and risk him slamming his shoulder into the steel?
So, all right. There's always risk. I mean, how many times is somebody actually injured and they put their arm in a steel chair and then they start hitting it with another chair?
Yeah.
They always do it.
Yeah.
Normally they do it with the opposite arm that's so in case they do hurt that arm or whatever, it's already hurt, right?
Yeah.
So I mean that's why.
You're saying that pod wasn't supposed to break like that
it probably was meant to break like that. It was probably meant to make it look as realistic as possible of oops.
I know that if his shoulder, you know what I'm saying, and I get what you're saying, but if his shoulder's already hurt, that just runs the risk of that could have gone sideways.
I guess the other part of that though, Tino, is that like if your shoulder is already messed up and you're going in for shoulder surgery, the surgeon's going to be able to fix whatever other damage gets done to it.
Just fuck it. Just take the rest of it.
I mean, think back to when Brock Lesnar almost broke his own neck doing the shooting star press. That match, we were all sitting there like, oh my God, we've heard Kurt Angle has a broken neck right now, and he's going to wrestle this match against Brock Lesnar, and then Brock Lesnar almost ends up with a broken neck by the end of it, right? So like, there's just certain times that you put it all on the line and it doesn't really matter. And Bobby was probably protected as well as possible.
Yeah.
And they probably tested that by practicing it or whatever, just to make it look as violent and painful as possible. I don't like that they said he was in the concussion protocol.
Yeah.
I don't like that because when you use that one, like, are you pulling back too much of the kayfabe? Because like concussions aren't a joke.
No.
And
before I didn't know that he was till later. I didn't know that he was really his shoulder was hurt.
Right.
So I was like, well, shit, maybe he did hit his head on that rail,
And I mean, like, those guys hit their head on the rails all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, he may have been dinged up and or he might have been trying to protect his shoulder and he hit it a bit in his head. Especially if they didn't practice the spot. You know what I did like about that match, though?
Brock kicking his way out of the damn pod.
I mean, it wasn't even like Brock's time to come out of the pod, was it?
No, it was Bobby's time, but Bobby was going out, so Brock's like, fuck it, I'm the last one in. He just busted his ass on out the pod.
But what I liked about it,
or the F5 on top of the pod,
him running after Austin Theory the way he did.
And Austin tried to hide at the pod.
He tried to hide in the pod. Brock blew the pod up. He tried to climb on top of the pod, and then Brock is like, time to F5 him off this bitch.
Oh.
And I mean, like, when he picked him up,
he looked. You saw him. He looked.
He was like looking around, like. So this is what I like about Brock Lesnar. Everyone always talks about how he doesn't respect the industry and this, that, and the other. I mean, if you saw his Pat McAfee interview, if you saw another recent interview with him, you know that he respects the business more than people seem to say. If you watched him last night on Monday Night Raw, it really looked like he's enjoying himself because I mean he's actually like taking selfies with kids and high fiving them, like he's enjoying what he's doing, and I don't even think he's getting paid the same as he got paid in his last contract. But I think they're letting Brock be Brock. And they're letting him be, and this is something that I, originally said I didn't think they would let him do, but now, like, he is not just Brock being Brock, but this is, if we had gotten this Brock Lesnar in 2004, I don't think he ever would have left the WWE. Now granted, he didn't like the travel schedule, so there's that, but him with Austin Theory, he looked around to see, okay, what's going to be the safest spot to throw him.
I thought he was going to throw him into the ring. I'm like, I think he thought about it at first.
I think the reason why he didn't was because he was afraid of the turnbuckle.
Yeah, it'd have been another Owen Hart, and I'm not making light of it. That could have been another Owen Hart.
And when he did throw him, like,
he didn't really throw him.
I thought Theory was going to flat bump, like a belly flop or whatever.
He tried to catch himself on the side of he caught himself side of the ring,
and he kind of rolled with his legs. So there was a lot of protection there. But I mean, just watching that kid sit there and run away from Brock for like 10 minutes was awesome. It reminded me of the Survivor Series match with Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. Daniel Bryan kept running away from him, and then finally, like, Brock tired himself out with all the suplexes, and that's when Bryan Danielson was able to come back, and and the whole time I'm sitting there going, I think Danielson's got a concussion, and then he surprised us by not having a concussion. So I'm okay with, like, in this situation where Bobby Lashley's hurt, right? You've already said, why did they let him wrestle a match? Well, it was advertised.
Yeah.
You pull him out.
I always say cards subject to change, though.
They do. Now, at the same time, if you pull him out, who do you put in there?
Yeah.
And is it still for the WWE Championship at that point? Because if the champion can't compete, sure, you can sit there and say, well, this will be a one-time match for that. But they could have been straight up. He can't compete. They put somebody else in. Whoever wins is the champion. Well, that's what I'm saying, and I kind of think that should have been what they did, but I don't think they wanted to piss the Saudi prince off. You advertise Bobby Lashley in this match as the champion going in. I kind of think that's where that goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where that is. I don't know why Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss was on this card.
Did you see him swing that sword? If they hadn't timed that right,
I'm so tired of the sword at this point. Like it's Drew McIntyre was a leather jacket, kilt wearing badass 2 years ago at WrestleMania. He beat Brock Lesnar in a minute and a half.
Was it? Yeah.
It was super fast because he Claymored him like 3 times and that was it. And now he's not only not at near the top of the card, but now he's a comic book character. Yeah. You know, he's the Highlander. They might as well just call him that at this point.
There can only be one.
So, and obviously WWE is doing that with a lot more of the characters. They're going back to like that 80s feel of hey, we're going to make characters that kids can look up to and want to be like, but still make them cartoony and comic booky. And obviously that's to bring in a younger audience because otherwise it just, I don't know, it just doesn't seem correct. And it doesn't appeal to like me because as much as I like comic books and cartoons, I like my pro wrestling to have some realism to it. You know? So there are my feelings on the card. What about you?
Is that all? There's another match, wasn't there? Or are you talking about just that match?
I mean, was there another match?
You forgot all about the women's chamber match.
Oh, right. Women's chamber match. It was nice to see who it came down to, but they went with the safe win again.
I was kind of disappointed. Alexa did all that, and they didn't let Alexa win.
Now, again, I felt that if they had let Lita win, having Alexa win would have made for a better WrestleMania match, and you could have still done Becky versus Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
You know? And they didn't go that route. They decided to go the simple route, which is most common spot that they could go is Bianca versus Becky, and that's where they went.
And Bianca should win at WrestleMania. I mean, because her title reign was cut short, and that 28 seconds or whatever. I mean, they're going to let her. They're going to let her get her comeuppance. You know what I'm saying? Because Becky's rubbing that in her face.
Well, it's like they're doing the same thing that they did when it was Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus, and Sheamus won in 15 seconds. You know, like it was like, what just happened? Did we just miss the match? You know, like, so that's where the whole Bianca and Becky thing came from, and that, like, I'm okay with that at this point. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Now, last night we had Monday Night Raw.
Couple things. My main question is that they were pushing Kevin Owens is bad mouthing Texas, so they're going to bring the rattlesnake back, and and he's going to fight the rattlesnake at WrestleMania. Well, now, if you watched last night, you see that Kevin Owens and Seth freaking Rollins have gotten into the tag team title match with RK Bro and the whatever they're calling themselves, the Academy, whatever.
Alpha Academy, yeah. So all right. WrestleMania is not for another month and a half. Right?
Right.
So that gives you plenty of time to get there if you want to. It also gives Austin plenty of time to keep negotiating. You know, because so far at this moment, we have not been given any indication that Stone Cold is coming in to wrestle this match. And I would think that Stone Cold knows he would need 6 months to get prepared for a match.
He ain't got that.
He definitely doesn't have that now, which means he'd probably be calling Bill Goldberg to figure out what Bill does to quickly get ready for something. I've said it.
Unless, because WWE at the end of the one WrestleMania, they start mapping out the next year. Now, this could have been in the works, so he could be in training. This could have been in the works.
So, Austin keeps himself in pretty good shape anyway, but he's 57 years old. Okay? In this, I would think that they don't let Kevin Owens start talking shit about Texas unless they've got a plan to bring in somebody big from Texas.
Right.
Now, if you can't get Austin,
Booker T.
What's that?
Booker T?
No. Like, seriously?
Bradshaw.
I'm going to smack you.
Who else is from Texas? Who the fuck?
Well, only two of the biggest names ever to lace up boots in the WWE. One of them being Shawn Michaels, who I agree with you. I would say no. Or who's going into the Hall of Fame?
The Undertaker?
You see Kevin Owens sit there, start talking junk, and all of a sudden, boom, lights go out. He walks down to the ring. He stares him down, choke slams him, and that's it. No match.
Okay. Okay.
But you get Kevin Owens to have his WrestleMania moment with The Undertaker.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, Vince always has that in his back pocket. You know, The Undertaker's always like, the old man calls, I show up. You know? So we know he's got that in his back pocket.
Right.
He knows he's got to do something big in Texas. But so far, the only indication that we have that Stone Cold Steve Austin will have anything to do with this WrestleMania is the fact that he was the guy that did the commercial saying that it's the biggest WrestleMania, but they haven't said anything about him being there. Now, granted, Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens, you don't need a lot of build-up time, but I would want a lot of build-up time.
Stunner versus Stunner.
I mean, but they haven't even made Kevin Owens Stunner that scary. People kicked out.
They've kicked out a Stone Cold Stunner.
Who?
People.
The Rock.
Triple H.
Sure.
I think Sexy Boy did.
No, Shawn Michaels took the one. He spun him around.
Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon never kicked out of a stunner.
That first one he did that one sucked.
So and probably when he first started using the stunner, there were probably people that did it. But Kevin Owens had someone just a couple weeks ago sit there and kick out of it. Now, here's the match I want to talk about that happened last night on Monday Night Raw. We can get back to Stone Cold and Kevin Owens because, like I said, I do have a WrestleMania card and rumors thing on here. Okay, so we'll get to that. Finn Balor, Tommaso Ciampa versus the Dirty Dogs. By the way, it's the first time I've actually heard the announcer announce them as the Dirty Dogs.
Dirty Dogs, yeah.
You know, they've called themselves the Dirty Dogs, but
the graphic still says
it still said Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Roode. I know. Yeah. And I was sitting there looking at that, and I was like, I think Vince McMahon still doesn't want to call them the Dirty Dogs.
No.
But what I found interesting about that match is they were talking about how like 3 of the 4 men had been NXT champion, and the one that hadn't was Dolph Ziggler. Of all people to not be one of the biggest champions in their company.
Oh, when you started off with that and you said Finn Balor, I thought you were going to talk about Damian Priest laying down that challenge and Finn Balor coming out and saying, sounds like you're talking about me.
Well, here's what's funny about that. Finn Balor had been off TV for so long, and they put him in a tag team match for his first match back, and then immediately bring him back out later to sit there and challenge for the United States title.
But here's what I'm wondering, because he at the end of that promo, he said, be careful what you wish for. Now, we know they're doing Damian Priest. He's doing this whole Damian, blah, blah, blah. Do you think they bring back Finn's alter ego, the Demon, for that match?
No, but I could see them getting there. Like, I would say Finn Balor comes out wearing his leathers, and then like WrestleMania Backlash.
Don't get me started on that.
I
also thought it was interesting, and it's not even on a Vince didn't even put this on USA. No, you get a fucking YouTube show. Carmella and Corey Graves have a YouTube show. They don't even get like a Ms. and Mrs. They're on YouTube.
Well, and it's on the actual WWE's YouTube.
Yes.
And apparently their sex toys were out.
What? They're what?
What?
Their sex toys route? What did you say?
Were out. They had their sex toys out in the commercial.
Oh, I didn't see the commercial. I just saw the graphic on Raw.
Yeah, they've got a commercial for it now.
So are they? Are WWE now admitting that they're a couple?
Yeah. I mean,
this is their Mrs. Their Ms. and Miss. Their Ms. and Mrs. This is their like following them in their life and stuff.
Pretty much. And I would also assume that at some point you'll probably see, Corey Graves finally make his return back into the wrestling ring since he's been cleared now.
Shaved that porn stash.
What's that?
He just shaved that porn stash.
His isn't a porn stash. His is the Doc Holliday from Tombstone.
This is the Magnum PI. The Tom Selleck.
The Tom Selleck. Also known as the Ron Jeremy.
Mm.
So, all right.
That's all I got from Raw.
Well, I mean, we got Bianca Belair picking up Dewdrop twice.
Dude.
We got Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins getting themselves into that tag match. And again, like, I could see them playing it up where it's Owens talking junk about Texas, knowing that WrestleMania is going to be there. Then they have that tag team title match. And just as you think Owens is getting ready to hit a stunner, the glass shatters. And it'd be like, Stone Cold!
I don't think that tag team match is at WrestleMania. I think that's on no,
it's before it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's why I'm saying that's when you could see.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Show up. Michael Turner says, "Bow chicka wow wow." So I mean, like, with it being Texas for WrestleMania, okay. So far, we have Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair, right? I assume that match goes on first on night 2.
Because we know that Roman either opens or closes, so we know he's going to be. So you think he goes on first the first night or last the second night?
No, they'll put Roman and Brock. If it's winner take all, it's the main.
So second night, last the second night.
Yeah, the first match, the first night. Right now, I would probably say, because you want a banger out there, you do something like Edge versus AJ Styles. And then you close that night with your Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey.
Okay.
I think we get some sort of intercontinental ladder match to get more people on the card, probably middle of night 1. If we're gonna get Kevin Owens versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, I assume that's gotta happen like night 2, and it's gotta be like late on the card.
Mm.
Like it. I mean, that suddenly becomes a semi-main. Yeah. And I would assume that goes on night 2, just because like you don't want to you don't waste Stone Cold Steve Austin. No. But again, right now, I don't think we're more likely to have Undertaker come out and choke slam Kevin Owens, but I do think that there's a good possibility if they can't get Austin for whatever reason that's going to be where they go.
Michael Turner wants to know: do you think Rhea going to be at WrestleMania 38?
Yeah, I'm sure she will. don't be surprised if it's like they keep going back to the well with Rhea Ripley versus Nikki Cross or Nikki ASH, but I don't know. I it's one of those matches. Like, there's so many women that they could use and use properly. Like Shayna Baszler versus Rhea Ripley would be amazing.
I still want to see Shayna Baszler versus Ronda.
Well, I would hope that Vince wants to build Shayna Baszler after WrestleMania to put her in that kind of situation, because they haven't done it. And it would be great for them to hug and, make it look like everything's great. And then Shayna just plows her from behind, knocks her out, and then, sets up SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that, because obviously you gotta milk Ronda for what you can. So that's kind of how I would do that. But that's only if they can figure out a way to build Shayna back up. I mean, they have decimated her,
Well, they've kept her off TV long enough. I think she comes back, starts doing squash matches, and starts there, and then builds her way up through the card. I think by like I said, like they start building her up now, like squash matches, like you said, come out at WrestleMania, hug Ronda, pop her, and then
yeah, because I could totally see Shayna coming out and causing Charlotte to lose, and maybe them turning Ronda heel due to that, or
Shayna's heel,
right? But if she decks Charlotte, then it makes Ronda heel by association. So obviously some of the other rumors are Cody Rhodes showing up at Texas. I don't know. I love the idea of Edge versus AJ. I like the idea of building up to, WrestleMania would be the perfect time to do the Demon versus Damian Priest.
Yeah.
Because you take Finn Balor and you kind of just build it up. You have a match on Monday Night Raw or whatever, and then like he sits there and he goes, "I want another match, but this time it's going to be," and then they flip it and he's the Demon, in like a backstage segment or whatever. Rumor right now, Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania.
Okay.
And then we just got to see The Miz and Logan Paul versus the Mysterios. I think this match will be okay. Logan Paul is a trained boxer now, right? And his matches have all been like pro wrestling matches where it's fake. So I think it's meant to be like Dominic Mysterio's coming out party.
You think Dom turns on Ray?
I don't. Like I think that they teased it last year or whatever, like in June, right around Father's Day, and then they just didn't go there with it, and I don't think so.
So if it's his coming out party, that means he's going to score the win. You think, and he'll score it on the Miz?
Oh, definitely. They won't have Logan Paul take that loss.
Okay.
Unless Logan Paul says, "Hey, it'd be really interesting is if I take the loss." Like I just don't see that. They don't bring in these big dollar YouTube influencers. I can't even call them a celebrity in my mind, but like you don't bring in the big money guys to have them lose.
Yeah.
And if you do, it's got to be because it's like, holy shit, I can't believe that just happened. So, but I mean, think about that. If you get Stone Cold to show up, you obviously have the Undertaker coming out at least to sit there and raise the hand up, probably drive around on the motorcycle, and then find his way out. Speaking of that, who do you think inducts the Undertaker?
Kane. Either Kane or DiBiase. Because it would have been perfect for Paul Bear, but that won't be possible. So I think either Kane or DiBiase. I wouldn't be surprised.
Not Bruce Pritchard.
Brother Love, maybe, probably Kane though. I think Glenn Jacobs.
So I think it might only be the second time. Actually, it might be the first time we see Triple H again.
You think Triple H?
Those guys are like really, really super close backstage. So I would think so. Here would be the, like you named some great ones. Kane definitely makes a lot of sense. But the ones that I think haven't been mentioned that probably should be would be Mick Foley, because he'll give great stories about it. And obviously, like when Foley came in, he obviously had probably the most noticed moment that the Undertaker's ever been part of.
Yeah.
Did you notice they didn't show that during like that little thing, like him throwing him off the top of the cage, but they showed him pushing Rikishi off the top of the cage?
Yeah.
I thought that was weird. But the number one name I think should actually induct him, the CEO himself,
Vince. Yeah.
And by the way, it'd only be the second time he'd ever done that, because the only other time he did it was for Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
So while I like the idea of DiBiase doing it, I don't think those guys really ever had a real backstage relationship.
I thought because then he buy or sell. Was he the first one that brought him in, right? Or was it Bear? Not Bear.
No, Bear. So
DiBiase.
it was Brother Love that brought him in.
Oh, okay.
And then he sold him to the $1 Million Man. And then the $1 Million Man, I think he was leaving the company or whatever, and that's when they were like, no, the perfect guy would be Percy Pringle, because he was a pallbearer. And it's like, oh my God, like, but unfortunately you can't have that. Oh yeah, unless they had like William Moody's son come out there and induct him.
Michael Turner said, "What about Steph for the Undertaker?" I don't know. Did they have a?
Nah. Well, she did get crucified by him once.
I think I agree with you. Either Vince. I say either Vince or Kane.
And Kane probably makes the most sense as long as he can get out of obligations in Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime WWE calls, he seems to get out of obligations in Knoxville. But I really like the idea of Vince being the one to do it.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
I mean, the longevity of the character, the fact that he was willing to do anything for Vince, stayed with the company as long as he did without ever leaving. It just, to me, it just makes sense. So, who else do you think goes into the, they said he's the first inductee. Obviously, he's the headline inductee, but like, who else goes in?
Are the Dudleys in?
Dudleys are in.
Edge is already in. Who goes in? Is Angle in?
I don't think so. I'll look that up real quick.
Oh. Is Dusty in?
Yeah, Dusty's in.
Dusty's in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I was like, I don't think Angle. So maybe Angle.
No, Angle was class of 2013.
Oh, Angle's already in?
Yep.
Booker T's in. I'm trying to think of Dallas guys or Texas guys. Bradshaw's in, right? And Bradshaw's in. Shawn Michaels on. I know he's already in.
Yep. Shawn Michaels in there twice.
I don't know. I don't know.
There's only two other names that aren't Texas guys.
Guerrero's in. He's a Texas guy. Who?
So, two headliner guys that you don't want to put on the same year as and in fact, I have a feeling one of them is going to be next year. And that's John Cena and The Rock.
Yeah.
Are not in the Hall of Fame. Cena, while they still claim that he's an active wrestler, I mean, he's going to get maybe 2 matches a year if he actually decides, hey, it's time to come back. But I would, like next year in Hollywood, I think that you induct The Rock into the Hall of Fame. That way you get him there. Maybe he has a match, maybe he doesn't. But like either way, like you get him there.
Yeah.
But thinking about it, like they normally go with someone from like ECW. And I'll tell you, like the name that I would sit there and throw out there would be Paul Heyman. And actually, Paul Heyman be another guy that I would actually have speak for the Undertaker. Like to induct him.
Why?
Paul Heyman's got stories about everybody, man. And his very first client was Mean Mark Callis.
Heart punch.
Teddy Long's in there already.
Is Lita in?
Yep.
Yeah, she is.
Yep, Lita's in. So I mean, like women wise, you're probably going to see someone like Eve Torres,
Mickey James. I doubt they would, but
actually, Mickey James would be a good one because they already opened that door. But if you had to put an ECW guy in there, I mean the best one to put in there probably be Shane Douglas.
He wouldn't do it.
He would do it.
Maybe what's his name?
I don't think they'd ask him to do it. But I'd put Paul Heyman in there.
What about the mullet dude? The mullet dude. He went to WW. He went to WCW.
Mike Awesome.
Awesome.
I mean, he's posthumous, so they normally have a posthumous one.
Indeed. No. Luna Vachon. I don't know.
I think Luna's already in there.
Yeah.
Luke Harper be Justin. That's a good one.
Ooh.
You put Brody Lee in there, and you have Austin Creed come out or the New Day come out and induct him. Or what's that?
Kofi Kingston, is he in there?
Kofi Kingston's not in the Hall of Fame, but he's an active wrestler still. Because like Randy Orton's not in there, but he's still active. So now another name that probably could get in and would even be allowed to go do it. Chris Jericho. But I think they're going to wait until his AEW contract is up, although apparently rumor is that he just signed another one.
Christian. I mean, I know Vince doesn't like Christian, but you all right?
Yeah, the water dripped up into the eye. Christian's also an AEW wrestler, so I don't think that Christian would be there. And
Jericho, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but Jericho's still on good terms with Vince. Yeah. Everybody else that leaves seems to not be on good terms with Vince. But let's see. I love thinking about who should go into the Hall of Fame because you start thinking about,
Jake, is he in there?
Yeah, Jake's in there.
Diamond Dallas Page is in there.
Yep, Scott Hall's in there. The NWO's in there at this point. Ooh, I got one. The Nation of Domination.
The whole. Yeah.
They won't do it because you can't get The Rock this year.
I mean, he wouldn't. Well, yeah. They probably could do it without him.
Booker T's in there twice because he's in and Harlem Heat's in. Dudley Boys are in. Tag teams. The
Freebirds are in, aren't they?
Yeah.
Is Michael Hayes?
Yeah, they probably would have wanted the Hardy. They obviously wanted Jeff Hardy for the Hall of Fame.
What about the Stooges? What about the Briscoes in there and Patterson?
Patterson's definitely in there. Briscoe might be in there. Man. How about this name? Gabe Sapolsky. Does he not deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame?
Freddie Prinze Jr.
If you want to put the celebrity wing guy in there, sure. Although, I mean, celebrity wing guy, like...
That would probably be Johnny Knoxville.
No, you know who you put in for that one this year? Hugh Jackman. Remember when he punched Dolph Ziggler in the face and broke his nose?
Because Arnold's already in there.
Arnold is. Mr. T is.
Pete Rose. He took enough.
Pete Rose is in there already.
Yeah, he took enough tombstones from Kane, choke slams from Kane.
It was always weird that he played for the Big Red Machine, but the Big Red Machine always wanted to come in and choke slam him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who.
Tyson's in now, right?
I think so. That'd be a good get.
Is Tyson in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, because I remember the speech he gave for it.
Okay. We'll have to keep thinking on it.
You know what we should look at?
What?
Is biggest names not in the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, we got this internet thing, right?
Is Jeff Jarrett in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, Jeff Jarrett is in the Hall of Fame.
JEFFJARRET.
All right, so here you go. You ready?
You think
Number 14 out of 14 guys not in the WWE Hall of Fame yet. The Rock already said him. Number 13, they've got Victoria on here, and she was actually in the Royal Rumble this year, so she'd be a good choice. Number 12, Chyna's not in there by herself. She's in with the X.
Molly Holland.
How about this one? The Steiner Brothers.
Yeah, Vince ain't gonna go for that. Maybe Rick.
I would think right now, knowing that like Braun Breaker's the next big thing that they've got, that they may do it. Number 10. Wait, no.
Read it.
Goldberg.
He's in there, isn't he?
I thought so.
Yeah.
How old is this? Doesn't say. All right.
What about, and I know this is probably a touchy one, what about Benoit?
No.
They won't put Benoit in there.
Number 9, they put Christian.
Yep.
Number 8, and this one could end up seeing their way in there. Demolition.
Somebody put that in the chat here.
Yeah, that's a good one. Number 7, the British Bulldogs.
Okay. Isn't Davey Boy in already?
I think he's in with the Hart Foundation.
Okay.
The Brooklyn Brawler.
Dude, he deserves it.
King Kong Bundy.
Okay.
Psycho Sid.
Oh.
Vader.
Is Hillbilly Jim in there?
Yes. I even remember when he did his speech. His speech was like 4.5 hours long.
What about Big John Studd?
I think he's in there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Celebrity Wing. This one surprises me that he's not actually in the Hall of Fame, although I don't think he really worked with WWE. Andy Kaufman.
Yeah. Is Jerry Lawler in?
Jerry Lawler's definitely in.
Okay.
And number 1 on this list, and we know why they will say no, Owen Hart.
I don't think they'll say no. I think his wife would say no.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Did he go in with the Hart Foundation?
What's that?
Did he go in with the Hart Foundation?
No, because I think it was just Anvil and Brett.
But no, because I asked you, I said,
"Oh yeah, you're
Bulldog
right."
In there. You said the Bulldog went in with the Hart Foundation.
All right, so here's another list. WCW World Champions not in the WWE Hall of Fame. Lex Luger.
What? Not he wasn't a champion. What about Raven?
Maybe for the ECW guy.
Yeah,
I'd be okay with Raven. Said Vader already.
Oh, Michael Turner said, what about Nat? Natalia.
Still an active wrestler.
Yeah. Sorry.
You know, it's a good choice, but still active.
What about Bam Bam Bigelow? Apostrophe, obviously, but is Bam Bam in there?
How about this one? David Arquette. especially since he became a real pro wrestler like 2 years ago. Here's an interesting one. Vince Russo.
I don't think Vince will go for that. Either Vince.
I already said the Steiners.
3
Chris
count.
Jericho.
3 count.
Hey, I'd be okay with Shane Helms going into the WWE Hall of Fame. The
What
rest of them, though?
What about Scotty 2 Hotty and Brian Christopher? Too cool.
Only if Rikishi goes in with them.
I was about to say, well, yeah, Rikishi.
Rikishi might be in there.
Okay.
All right, so WWE people not in the Hall of Fame.
All right, then we'll wrap it up.
Vince McMahon.
I don't think he's going to go in. He won't put himself in.
Undertaker's going in this year. The Rock. Ivan Koloff.
Woo.
Already said Chris Jericho and Owen Hart. The Big Show, but he's working for AEW.
And Mark Henry. He's working for AEW.
This one must be old because it's got Dave Bautista on this list, and I know he's in there.
Is Batista in there?
Wait, no. He was supposed to go in, and he asked to be removed. And he ended up having that match with Triple H instead. The Destroyer, Paul Heyman, Rey Mysterio,
Giant Gonzalez,
Zeus,
oh,
Demolition. Oh, here's a big one. Jim Cornette.
What about Miss Elizabeth?
I'd be okay with that.
The Macho Man's in.
Baba.
Is Macho Man in?
Macho Man is in.
Okay.
Rick Martel.
What about the Mounties, the Rougeau brothers? No. Yeah.
I don't think they'd ever put Dynamite Kid in there.
What about the Bushwhackers?
The Bushwhackers are in there.
Ah, damn.
Great Muta.
What about Kona Crush?
Actually, I just got to the Crusher. Miss Elizabeth's on this list.
What about the Harris Boys? Because they were there. Well, the Skull and 8 Ball. They were in a lot of different things for them.
No, man, no.
Come on, the big ball twins. Come on.
What about Brian Pillman?
They probably won't put him in there. It's crazy ass.
Oh, here's a great one, and unfortunately posthumous. Kamala.
Ooh. Abdullah the Butcher.
The Midnight Express.
The Rock and Roll Express.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Why not Jim Cornette?
Why not Jim Cornette?
Yeah.
Vince McMahon hates him.
Yeah.
Baron Von Raschke. Remember what? Yeah. Tony Garea.
Tony Atlas. Is Tony Atlas in there?
Yes.
Okay.
Here's one.
Is Bruiser Brody in there?
Hold on. How about this one? Sable.
Ooh.
Remember when she was like the first one to like take out a man? When she hit Mark Miro with his own finisher?
Yeah.
Kenta Kobashi, William Regal.
Tajiri. What about Tajiri?
I'd like Tajiri. Mike Rotunda. IRS.
What about Earthquake? Posthumously.
I think John Tenta's in there.
What about Tugboat? The other dude.
It's like saying, hey, why not Marty Jannetty, who just came up on this list?
Why not?
I mean, you could have Shawn Michaels, give the speech for him. One Man Gang.
Oh, no, he has to go in. No. He has to go in as Akeem, the African Dream. And the Slickster has to go in with.
Actually, they got John Tenta on the list saying he's not in there. So
the Slickster, job pro, bro. A job so, bro.
I'd be fine with Slick, introducing him. Ronnie Garvin.
Ooh, Hands of Stone.
Dick Murdoch.
Dirty Dick.
Okay. I found the ECW one. Tommy Dreamer.
Or Sandman.
Sandman probably gives the wrong image. Whereas Tommy Dreamer was like backstage producer and, you know.
Can I ask you something?
Haku.
Sandman wasn't anything but fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin.
He wasn't fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin.
You know what I meant. Shut up. I hate you.
Ken Shamrock.
Oh.
Let's see.
Steve Blackman.
Dean Malenko.
Now, what about the dude that was from Australia and was with the Undertaker at WrestleMania? What's his name? He was in the prison in Australia, and he's supposed to be tag teaming the Undertaker at the WrestleMania. You know what I'm talking about?
He's an actor.
Oh, yeah, but...
No, he would not go in. Dominic DeNucci. Ultimo Dragon.
Only if you go in with Sonny.
Butch Reed.
See, he should have gone on with him and Ron Simmons should have gone in as Doom. And with Teddy Long. They should have gone in.
Jack Tunney.
Oh shit. Well, might as well put Gorilla and Monsoon in there.
And this list even does have Shane Douglas. All right, that's enough of those.
Yeah, that's enough.
So it'll be nice to see who they actually announce, because I would have actually been completely okay if they just decided, you know what, they just do the Undertaker by himself in his own class.
Is the I was watching the Von Erichs. Is what's his name in there? The Texas Tornado in there?
Kerry Von Erich? I think the Von Erichs as a family are in there.
Okay.
So I could be wrong on that, but I think that
Justin keeps saying Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe's going to be wrestling here in the next 6 months somewhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got.
Yep, I got nothing else. So
until next time, folks, like I said, if you get a chance, please go back and check out our hot ones from last Friday night. Like and subscribe to the show. Thumbs up. Buy our shit. As always, you can check that dude out on the Twitter machine. He is at PotCheck. I am HoodieFan91. We're Potsy and Tino on Facebook with the Potsy and Tino Show. On the Insta, he is Rob PotCheck. I am SC Tino. On the TikTok, he is Rob Potsy PotCheck. You can also check us out here on the YouTube each and every Tuesday, right around 8:15. We want to say thank you to Adam's House Cat for our theme song, the wrestling song, which you can get on iTunes for 99 cents. 99 cents. And until next week, the Macho Man is always thinking. Oh, yeah, dig it. And he wasn't ready.
Wrong song.
He wasn't ready.
Wrong song. Can't find the outro. Where is it?
Oh, yeah. Working with the handicap. Yeah. Dig it.